With being named the #1 fast food restaurant in America, why wouldn't Chick-fil-A be the most popular restaurant on the Cal Poly campus? Most students who have lived through the quarter system understand the short amount of time given to complete their fast-paced courses within 10 weeks. It's sometimes difficult for students to set aside time to eat meals. One of the quickest and easiest meals to eat on campus would be Chick-fil-A, located in the Ave. The Chick-fil-A on campus has ready-to-go chicken sandwiches, chicken nuggets, and french fries. Although this isn't the healthiest food on campus, it's almost perfect for any hard-working college student with a busy schedule. However, there is one catch to this campus dinner. The Chick-fil-A chain of restaurants associates with organizations that have been accused of anti-LGBTQ discrimination and advocacy. Chick-fil-A has been donating to these groups ever since it opened in 1946. Truett Cathy opened a tiny diner called the Dwarf Grill in Hapeville, Georgia. His company, which was a family-owned business, expanded well beyond its roots. Cathy changed the name of his diner to Chick-fil-A once he saw progress in the franchise. Chick-fil-A is now located in 47 states in the United States. With Chick-fil-A being a family-owned business, Cathy values his family's religious aspects and morals. Chick-fil-A remains committed to Christian values. The corporate purpose reads, to glorify God by being a faithful steward of all that is entrusted to us and to have positive influence on all who come into contact with Chick-fil-A. They have customs and regulations that accompany their religious values. One of these customs is that Chick-fil-A is closed on Sundays. Cathy has declared that closing our business on Sunday, the Lord's Day, is our way of honoring God and showing our loyalty to Him. Another practice is that Chick-fil-A only donates to organizations that relate to their religion. The Chick-fil-A Foundation donated more than $1.8 million to the three main organizations: the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Salvation Armies, and the Paul Anderson Youth Home. All three of these groups have been accused of anti-LGBTQ discrimination and advocacy for years. The Fellowship of Christian Athletes seeks to spread an anti-LGBTQ message to college athletes and employees that bars any homosexual acts. The Paul Anderson Youth Home teaches young boys that same-sex marriage is rage against Jesus Christ and his values. The Salvation Army has had a long record of opposing legal protections for LGBTQ Americans. In 2012, small protests occurred, and then the battle spilled into the halls of city governments and the presidential campaign. Groups of people supporting LGBTQ rights stood outside their local Chick-fil-A franchise, boycotting the restaurant. Of the many universities that have Chick-fil-A on their campus, the students and faculty of Cal Poly were one of the first to boycott the business. When all the news was released about Chick-fil-A donating to these organizations, the Cal Poly community attempted to remove it from campus. It was argued that the company's beliefs were inconsistent with Cal Poly's values of diversity and inclusivity, and that it negatively impacted the campus climate. The Gay and Lesbian Alliance of the Central Coast supported the protests and sent a letter to campus officials petitioning for removal of Chick-fil-A from Cal Poly. The letter said Chick-fil-A's president may have the right to homophobic speech, but the speech is contrary to the values that Cal Poly espouses. The First Amendment does not require the patronage of Cal Poly faculty, students, and staff. Cal Poly students organized protests outside of the dining area and chanted with posters against the presence of the business on campus. Due to the sudden loss of business from the negative impact Chick-fil-A brought to campus, Cal Poly Dining made an announcement that they were considering its removal. In 2012, the Chicago-based Civil Rights Agenda issued a statement claiming that Chick-fil-A had promised to no longer give to anti-gay organizations, such as Focus on the Family and the National Organization for Marriage. After this regard, Cal Poly decided to keep the restaurant on campus. After Chick-fil-A convinced their customers they had changed their morals and were no longer supporting the same organizations, the protest stopped until mid-2017. At this time, Chick-fil-A announced another change in their donations. Instead of the information leaking, they said they were no longer going to end all donations to anti-LGBTQ groups, but instead minimize them. Many groups continued to boycott Chick-fil-A after this. However, Cal Poly disregarded this announcement. A Cal Poly spokesman named Matt Lazier said, however, university administration's disagreement with the political views of a given business owner does not give the university license to effectively censor that business and prohibit it from continuing to operate at the university. By saying this, despite the student and faculty vote, Chick-fil-A stayed on campus. I believe we can do something about this and officially remove Chick-fil-A from the Cal Poly campus because it does not represent the accepting university we are said to be. Some people might argue this claim and say students can avoid that Chick-fil-A on campus by not eating there. By not eating at Chick-fil-A, the students are not supporting the business. However, having the restaurants on campus gives off the message that our university as a whole does not support LGBTQ groups. Cal Poly is seen as a very diverse and welcoming university. Having Chick-fil-A on campus gives off the message that we are not accepting of all people on campus. I believe we should remove Chick-fil-A from Cal Poly campus and replace it with a restaurant that doesn't have a background of donating to anti-LGBTQ organizations. Although Chick-fil-A said they are no longer donating to all of the same groups, they are still affiliated with anti-LGBTQ corporations. I suggest that we remove the Chick-fil-A from the avenue and replace it with a more suitable restaurant. Cal Poly lives by the quote, "Learn by doing." In order to follow this, I hope to persuade students, faculty, and campus administration to do something about this issue. There are several LGBTQ clubs on campus that want to promote change in LGBTQ discrimination. With Chick-fil-A being on campus, it sends the message that our school does not support LGBT groups. By students speaking their mind and informing more students about the major issue, we can do something about this problem. Although our first attempt at removing Chick-fil-A didn't go as planned, I don't think we should give up now. This restaurant does not represent the community of students that we are. In the end, I urge Chick-fil-A to be removed from the Cal Poly campus because it associates with organizations that are anti-LGBTQ. We can replace this restaurant with the wider options of foods for all students. Cal Poly students will have more food options that accommodate all genders, sexualities, and even all diets. Not only will it benefit students' health, but it will allow our community to be more welcoming and accepting of all humans.